1,000 years ago, there was a war between the human world and the vampires of Jorgen von Goldstriker. A warrior and his best friend and #1 acolyte would rise to fight back against the forces of darkness. It was Xavier Ravenblood and his loyal follower into the abyss, REZAVIER.
Why, hello. It is I. You dare challenge my Ravenblood? I have seen the afterlife thou shalt soon witness. I do not envy you, mortal. We have much to discuss, you and me.
Ah, yes, hello today. Today's the day. We have an interview with none other than Xavier Ravenblood. Now, we shall. Can you hear me, sir?
Of course.
Excellent, excellent. It is an honor to see you, sir. I shall unmask and reveal myself.
I must see, I believe, before we begin this in the proper. Oh, now allow me to get situated properly upon my throne.
Yes.
And
yes.
we may begin.
Take your time, master, take your time.
I'm trying out these new bamboo sandals. They're supposed to be good for it.
Ah, yes. I believe they add +5 agility as well as +2 to stealth.
Yes, of course, of course.
Oh, wait, those are the wooden ones. Never mind, it's -2 to stealth.
The fog machine that production gave me that never ceases to disappoint and frustrate me.
I will say, though, your camera's sideways. Or
I thought it would have adjusted. How very frustrating. See, that's why I wanted to do this little test run with you.
Yes, yes.
Not sure how I can fix that exactly. I have to sort out these issues with my camera. When this is all done, you can edit in a cooler introduction where I come in with a fog machine and there's music playing or something. For now, I have to make sure this fucking thing works.
Are you familiar with Devil May Cry 1?
Well, of course, yes.
Yes. Oh, perfect. I see you. A1.
This would please me, yes. Now, what is exactly you needed from me for footage to this? Is there something you required of me in order to do said thing?
Slice and dice moves or something like that, with your sword, some kicks or whatever, some badass moves.
Of course, yes. I'd be quite pleased to do that. I would have to get into my dueling boots.
Oh yes,
but I think that's a wonderful way to pick this whole thing off. Some cool moves or something. Let's see what kind of trouble I can get into and how much property damage I can cause for your montage. My garb is falling off. This was actually a problem. This is a problem that my very expensive outfit kept having issues during the filming.
Ah, yes, I noticed your Virgil vest. I like it.
It's quite annoying, really. Why don't I rotate this so I can sprint out the camera?
Oh, hell yeah.
I think that would be good.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, that's about 2 hours in Premiere Pro with some bad Envato green screen alpha. I could do this all day.
You already know.
Let's get
Yes, how do you manage with these gobs?
If you give me a few minutes to recover, as it's actually difficult doing cardio from beneath 2 layers of ski mask. But if you give me a few moments, I can give you some more of that sort of thing.
Yes, don't tire yourself out, sir.
All right, now, should we attempt something approximating an introduction? Here, hold on, let me position this so that my wonderful assortment is properly visible. Well, I believe that's good. Hold on, I'm fixing my fog machine again. Is this broken already? I paid, well, they paid about $300 for this.
Damn, why do fog machines always fuck up?
I know, it makes the villain lifestyle very difficult. It's actually quite annoying. There's an industry for this. I don't think people understand that being a vampire lord is a valid lifestyle choice, and that there is a market for these sort of lifestyle brand products. What the fuck? You hear that? It sounds like a mosquito vaping when I turn it on. I don't think that's supposed to be. Well, I guess I'm not doing figure out a way to do an overlay of smoke or something. Fog rises and I simply appear here as if teleporting like Virgil. Well, then I suppose I'm ready when you are, my friend.
What's up, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Rez TKF Podcast. In today's episode, we have a very special guest. You may know him as the main character of Fishtank.Live, the renegade of Season 2.5 that wowed us all with his immense performance. The one, the only, Xavier Ravenblood.
Yes, it is I. It's been quite some time since I've had audience with the bard, so this shall be amusing.
It is much my honor, and may I say...
Now, REZAVIER, I do thank you for your allegiance. I believe you spoke to me of this quest to bring word of my glory into the unwashed masses. You see, these disgusting people and their corpulent, writhing bodies out there, watching this through the magic mirror on our palm. See, they need to know of my radiance and my glory, and therefore, I'd be happy to make your acquaintance this fine eve, and speak about how wonderful I am.
I do appreciate that, Master, as you are. You are amazing, you are bountiful, and your power knows no bounds, as you have infinite wisdom, and I am honored to be the one to talk to you. And I do appreciate the magical gifts of this mask and the epic Yamato badass sword you've given me. I will make great use of it, vanquishing all of your lightweight for you, Master.
Oh, yes, I see. Yes, quite a powerful thing you have there. Indeed. It is necessary that I grant you a fraction of my power. Of course, now I'm sure the rabble have many questions for their dark lord. Mostly perhaps born out of jealousy, or some other perhaps lust for the females. But tell me, what do the rabble have to say? What questions burden their minds? What do they learn? What do they yearn to learn about the Great One?
Master Xavier, before we get into the questions of the people, I must ask, how are you faring today? And thank you for slicing your way into our realm to chat with me.
Quite well, as you can see. You see here, I've been residing in my ancestral castle for quite a while since the events of the Blood Games, you see. I've been taking my sweet time enjoying life. And you may not have heard, but there is some white lady with borderline personality disorder who tried to electrocute me to death on a reality show to win a very small amount of money that really wasn't worth it. And then she had a meltdown afterwards. Now, after this, people were wondering if I'm dead, not knowing that I have natural electricity resistance due to my heritage and my natural abilities, for I have no pulse, and therefore, no lightning or electricity could possibly harm me. And so many were wondering if indeed I had finally been slain by my arch nemesis, White Woman. But it is not, for I hath returned as I always planned to do, and now you see I reside on my throne, looking back to where these adventurers once laid their heads. And now that their duty is done and they have carried out my plan to satisfaction, all as I had written in my plans all along. Oh, I'm on a nice vacation. And really my main quest here that I'm now following. I'd like to have another Blood Games-esque event soon. Yes. My heart yearns and sings for it. Many people out there are saying we need another Blood Games. We need another 3.5 or something else of the sort. Another LARP-style event hosted by the wondrous Jet Neptune himself. Now, I also wish for this, of course, as we all do. It is my white whale, my character motivation, you might say. And you see, this is the true reason I have returned.
Yes, and I will say, Master, I will never forgive that of White Woman for trying to electrocute you, as she did not know that you're immune to all elemental attacks.
Well, I thought that perhaps by returning, I could do a little bit of audience with the public and perhaps generate some revenue for the coffers of the fish tank, and maybe they could use that to create another cool storyline where I could live out my fantasies that I've had since being bullied in high school about being a strong, badass, invincible hero like I did in Bloodgames, which I paid a large sum of money to the show to allow them to do that, and they carried it out to the best of their ability. So I'm grateful for that. But as you speak of White Woman, yes, for a long time they have been my enemy. There are many that would do tricks upon the mind, assaults on the soul, dealing psychic damage to me, doing things like, "Oh, Cheek, would you like to come to the prom with me?" And then I show up, and they're not there. Or they're there with someone else. And you see, that's just what's molded me into... That's why I'm a fucking villain, okay? That's why I'm a sexual villain. That's what I like to refer to myself as.
They created
Not
the
in the sense of Epstein or nothing like that. I'm just saying I'm a villain, and I also have a sexual side. Which is because I'm cool, badass. I'm also handsome, and I have abs. Photos of my abs online. Yeah, any woman out there with mental illness, my DMs are open. But regardless of, sorry, go on.
What would hobbies be for a man of your prowess? What do you enjoy doing in various realms and to pass the time?
Well, you see, I'm both a vampire and a vampire hunter, so that makes it a bit strange. A lot of the vampires stopped hanging out with me, and they said that I was weird and that I had an ego problem or some sort of so I became a vampire hunter as well. But the humans also spurned me. So really, I'm kind of the cooler sides of both things rolled into one. And this, you'll see most of the details of this on page 327 of my backstory. But to answer your question more succinctly, fine, by REZAVIER. I'm done. I have to have a talk with Jimmy again about these straw hats that he sold to me from Hordeman, because they keep slipping. Regardless, well, yes, when you live as long as I do, your interests change, you see. You get bored of a lot of things. For example, a lot of people wondered why, at some points in Bloodgame, me and the Duke were conversing as if we were just friends and we weren't at each other's throats. You see, you get bored. You get very bored. So I would talk with people, I would have jokes with people and make fun of people and fight verbally with people and discuss anyone, really, anyone. Even the Duke, even my arch nemesis, my elder brother. I spit upon his name.
You would have battle-ridden minds and would just pass the time merely by smoking your pipe and pondering on the days that were with the Duke. Were you once ever friends with the Duke? Were you once maybe a duo of sorts, and then by some twisted turn of fate became sole enemies?
Of course, yes. That's a long story. I don't even know if I have time for it all. And if there's one thing I like, it's telling long stories that people lose interest in 20 minutes in, before I've even got to the good part. Yes, you see, what I do for fun. You're correct about just sitting there smoking and then contemplating years lost. There was one year I spent 7 years smoking, actually. I have to have 14 lung replacements.
Well,
it took me quite a while.
That must have been some good-ass kush, huh?
Well, yes, actually. I was imbibing of the foul kush. In fact, I'd like to reveal something. Speaking of the foul kush and those who might partake in it, I actually recently had my jacket enchanted. You can read that. Maybe you can't. It's backwards. Well,
Dunye.
Indeed, yes. See, I actually recently had this enchanted, and he penned his name upon it, you see. And now this actually granted me a great deal of power. So many people will say, never make a deal, never sign a contract with the Dark Lord. And he knew not the better. Because what was happening is actually underneath his sleeve, I had sewed in a legal contract that bound his soul to me in the afterlife. And also, it granted me the ability to legally use certain Dark One incantations in self-defense. I'm sure you can imagine what some of those words were, which I cannot say on YouTube, but Dunye being a Dark One of the underworld. Having signed this, I can now use certain words that previously I was not able to. Power words have various abilities, such as slaying people, calling forth lightning. This one has other effects. But regardless, I also have another enchantment. But this one I was just showing off because we were talking about the green dark sticky bud.
Oh, yes.
That's one might toke up upon a grand bomb.
The runes of 420. Does that enchantment give you a vape hit per day with a 30-second cooldown?
Well, I have no cooldown on that.
Hell yeah.
Just master that up.
How were you created, Master? What manifested your power? Because I think of it being like somewhat like the Big Bang that created the universe, but the power of the entire universe is now within your body, giving you universal strength.
We pause for a second and think about how much I'm willing to divulge on that topic.
Yes, I don't want your enemy assassins to gain too much lore as they might try and conjure up another Xavier.
I believe that may well be impossible. You see, my backstory, my lore, it comes in roughly 5 components. The first is my human life, well, catapulted into an isekai-esque realm, so to speak. And then I was reborn in Tamriel, you see. I ventured forth through that, and a few other events happened too. Finally, I ended up here. And now I've been through various realms. I've been alive a very long time. I've had intercourse with most of the different anime women that you frequently see posted on 4chan before anyone else. So anyone who claims that it's their wife, that they're incorrect. And she's already been tarnished, you see, by my blade and my beautiful penis, both. Usually,
you've done away with Trixie Chan.
Not necessarily in that order. I would say, for the sake of legal reasons, not necessarily in that order, or necessarily both. I'm just saying that for legal reasons. My lawyer has advised me to stop talking about the different things that I've done to various anime girls. I don't know why. But regardless, I've had a long and storied history. You see, this current life, well, I am Lord Xavier Ravenblood. Well, I was born into the Geldstraven clan, you see. And after a long, long time, I was in the royal court with the Duke and the rest. He was the favored son, you see, of the Geldstraven Empire. He was the one that they always turned to for the important decisions. His stature and his might and his powerful personality enchanted those around him, while I was the runt of the litter, the dark horse, you see. Now, it was I who was picked on for my height and for other things I can't control.
What schemes?
And eventually, yes, I sought to scheme against him, to upstage him in his own game, let's say.
Of course.
In this court, in this family court. It was a long lineage, you see, the Geldstraven clan, a royal vampire clan. Now, this power was originally granted to me during the Geldstraven massacre. Because what happened here is, at once the Geldstraven was a normal family. What occurred is they slaughtered 1,000 innocents beneath their manor. And it was through this sacrifice that we were all granted our power. Returning, however, to the family dynamics.
So the legends are true.
Yeah, indeed, yes, yeah. Not that that matters now, as the Geldstraven manor has been long since burned to ashes as it should be. But
yes.
I schemed against the Duke in secret. I wished to be as cool and badass as him, because I couldn't stand not being the coolest guy in the room at any time.
Oh, Master, I love how you jest. That you wish to be as cool as the Duke. I think the Duke wishes to be as cool as you.
Well, yeah, he's dead now, so I mean, really dead, not undead like I.
Of course.
So I suppose I got the last laugh.
Don't you always?
Where was that? Yes, you see, what occurred was, again, I'm wondering how much I should disclose. In a moment of weakness, I confided in him. This is back when I thought I could still trust him. Of my true name, of my true history before I entered this realm. You see, before being reborn in this realm, I had a prior life in Tamriel. And as any will know of the legends, once you know of a vampire's true name, you hold great power over them, you see. And you see, the Duke began to use this against me. He investigated my lineage, the Ravenblood clan, and he found out, and he presented this evidence, in fact, to our father Sparta, resting upon the throne of our men. And I was exiled, cast into the night, like a shadow, you see. And I there ruled for ages and ages until plotting my revenge, which, as you can see, has succeeded. I thank you for your patience with this long tale, but you ask where I gained my power. I can't really pinpoint a precise point.
Of course, I know that's forbidden knowledge. It was more so how you were manifested to be physically in this realm, as your power was untouchable and unfathomable, and then you were formed into an actual being with limbs that we could actually see with our own mortal eyes, although we are not worthy.
Well, have you ever heard... Now, I'm going to tell you something somewhat deep and spiritual. Have you ever heard of the term Kalpa?
Not familiar, Master.
Well, yes, this is really some old cosmology. So, in the land of Tamriel, once one ascends finally to what many believe is the ultimate walking way, or Kim, of the different walking ways of which there are 6, as Vivek once did. There's a step beyond. Now, you see, this is something akin to achieving full enlightenment and becoming God of this world. However, there's a step beyond. Yes, because beyond this, There's a way you can create your own universe, you see. Once not just becoming a prisoner trapped within the dream of the dreamer of Tamriel of Nern, but creating your own splintered reality. And you see, this is what Vivek failed to do, and that was his undoing, as we all know. Not that any would believe me, but I succeeded, you see. And this world is of my creation. The land you see before you was sculpted by I, and its bones are mine, the bones of a former lord. Now, as you walk upon this land, you walk upon my body. That is why I had things like console commands, you see, because I'm the player. Everyone else is an actor. They think it's the other way around, which is the funny part.
Yes, we are all a part of your realm, sir.
Well, I stand within it now, yes, of course. Then through this magic mirror, you can glimpse it. And those from the other side of the magic mirror believe they can taunt and jest at me with no hope for retribution from me. And sadly, this is mostly true, as I have not yet have the funds to use Wireshark and hire a private investigator to track down where all they live, all the people who make comments making fun of me. And I don't have the money to necessarily travel to their houses and wield my blades, but I don't know. Maybe if I hit a crowdfunding goal, I can do something like that.
Yes, we can crowdfund and we can kickstart and hunt down all of your enemies and the shit talkers that dwell within their parents' basements, talking shit like so. So, Master, being part of Fishtank.Live Bloodgames, what was your favorite part of being there? Being at the Bloodgames?
That's a difficult question. It's odd. By now, I've reached the points that anyone might would, where all I can see looking upon my past work is regret of what I could have done differently. I believe that's the mark of a true talent. But if I had to say, there's many things I would have done different. If I had to say what I enjoyed the most, I believe it was matching wits with those who stood against me. I believe that was the most captivating.
Such as John, correct?
Oh, yes, John. I actually quite like John. John is one of the people that I like out of that crew. Or Tai is a bit, I could tell he was not vibing with me. And Letty is essentially the antithesis of me in every way possible.
Why do you feel Tai was not vibing with you, Master?
He seemed to want to be the funny man. And he seemed to want to be the guy who cracked the jokes and was sort of the comic relief, which he actually did quite a decent job at. Absolutely. But he wasn't really diving into the lore, and he didn't seem terribly interested when I started talking with him for 20 minutes about Pokemon, which is generally how I assess people, is how long they're willing to listen to me speak about something that I'm interested in, but they may not be, without interrupting me. And that's why I like Tayleigh, is because she would just listen for way too long, really way too, like honest. It actually was concerning.
Yes, with superpowers. Powers, magical spells. Yes.
I talked to her about some irrelevant bullshit for 30 minutes while she had a fucking IV in her arm, and she just listened. I think she was trying really hard and thought that it would help her win the game. I mean, some of it did. Some of it was just fan fiction. That was entirely irrelevant. But regardless, yes, that's my appraisal. But I believe my favorite part was matching wits with those various people.
Fucking damn it, you stupid. Yeah, I do like.
And seeing if I could design schemes to try to make them do and dance and do interesting things. And seeing if I could do verbal combat with them. That's my favorite thing, is using mortals as playthings. That's what I like doing those. And they were absolutely fascinating. Way more than the common rabble. Jet really found some wonderful mortals for me to play with. I think the thing I liked the second most was likely the cool battles that I got to do, such as the one in the Downs where I slayed a horde of vampires single-handedly and saved the universe.
Now be ready, for we shall meet blades, and I shall reclaim the throne of my father Sparta. Show me a good time, vampire!
Your cuts.
I believe. Yes. I cut you.
Honestly, as someone who's interviewed Tai, he's not really like a long conversation kind of guy, so I absolutely understand what you mean by that. Definitely has funny one-liners, love the dude. Everybody had wonderful things to say about you whenever I spoke with them. They just said how much of a joy you were, how your energy was just absolutely magnificent on the show, which us as the audience, we felt that. And Xavier, you are such a wonderfully pivotal part of 2.5 at times where everyone's morale was low, and I don't just mean the meter right there. You would be summoned, you would appear appear, instant transmission out of nowhere, appear at the right time and lift everybody's spirits back up.
There's a lot I'd like to respond to there. And I do think it does actually warm my heart somewhat to hear that they had fun. You see, I've been a professional dungeon master for a few years. I'm actually a lot older than a lot of people think I am. But I do take a great deal of joy in creating these worlds and scenarios and quests and challenges for people to overcome.
Yeah.
As much as I do also like making fun of people in a 4chan style way, which I also did to them. I also wanted everyone to have fun. And I'm very, very glad they did. Yeah. And now I don't mean to say that me and Tai didn't get along or I just like him. Quite the opposite, no. I think he's very talented and very funny, and a lot of people liked him for good reason. I mean morally to say that our conversational style didn't seem to mesh terribly well in terms of the on-screen.
Like the back and forth wasn't very Abbott and Costello.
Yes. Well, yes, exactly. Well, but yes, I'm very glad to hear that. There's something else I wish to respond to there. Yes, the energy. That was another thing. I don't like the whole torturing people thing. I think there's a certain point where making fun of people is funny, or making them uncomfortable is funny. But I'm not into sadism. I don't really like that sort of thing. So a lot of what I tried to do was to cheer people up with silly, lighthearted things. That was a big part of what I wanted to achieve with the entire experience. And a lot of the quests that I designed were explicitly so that people could have fun. The sneaking mission with Vance, where he got to Metal Gear Solid in real life, that was my design. I orchestrated that entire thing because I was hoping it would get him to have a bit of fun and maybe get out of his shell a bit.
Yeah.
There are many other moments like that. And if there's one thing I do regret is that I didn't take that Dungeon Master role more often. In the last 4 days or so, there was an absence of quests to some degree because the writers' room of which I was a part was just burnt out by that point. And I don't blame them. It's unbelievable the amount of moving pieces behind the scenes, the cogs and levers of a series that kept it all running. And I could see Mike's soul leaving his body on the final day. I swear to fucking God. Yeah. I had to convince him to go home and get sleep instead of stay up in a manic state for another week. But regardless, I wish that I contributed to that more. There was something he told me, actually. We did a rehearsal. Yeah. We did a rehearsal. Now, Mike, he was the Goblin.
The Goblin,
And he's a wonderful man. He really, if there's an unsung hero, besides the tech people who I don't even understand how the fuck they're still alive, from how hair-pulling that must have been. If there's an unsung hero, it's him. But yes, I do wish that I had planned more quests in the period where there was a lack of quests. That's all, sorry.
It's what a great artist does. You want to always get better, constantly, and you always want to see what you can improve on. Did you think of some missions where you were like, oh man, I wish I put that in there at this time? Maybe something that you wanted to do that you couldn't get around to, that everybody was just too beat to do?
There are pages and pages and pages of that you wouldn't believe.
It was 300, right?
Well, that's my backstory. That's
or something.
I've been writing that.
It was a 30
I've been writing my backstory for years. Yeah. I mean, that actually has little to do with this. I was doing that beforehand. Because no one was reading it, so I took it down off fanfiction.net because someone called me the F word, and I don't like that. There's a few, honestly, one of the ones that's most difficult, I wish we never did I wish we did, but we never did. One of the most difficult quests. I'm not sure if I should even discuss it. It breaks my heart that we didn't get to. Maybe I'll discuss this in more detail at a later point, but there was a storyline intended where Tayleigh would strike back against me. I was supposed to be a wrestling heel in that situation. Or I might, maybe I'll disclose it later when I have it more coherent, because I have a lot to say on the matter.
What was going through your brilliant, massive mind whenever Tayleigh did try to unmask you and thought that you were her supposed stalker?
The implication you're making here.
Do it, Tayleigh. Do it, Tayleigh. Do it, for real.
I'm being harmed. Please, holy. No.
Oh, God damn it, boys!
And did you eliminate that stalker for causing you any strife on the games?
Well, you see, that's a difficult question. Well, I think I was just absolutely surprised and confused. Yeah. And I thought it was very funny on some level that a 100-pound woman was trying to physically fight me on a reality show. I thought that was amusing, and hopefully other people did as well. However, once I learned of more of the lore surrounding it, I felt a deep, crushing regret and guilt, because I didn't anticipate that the gaslight had been so effective. It really was shockingly effective. Yeah. And to a point that's absolutely insane, really, like, it should be illegal type of thing, how effective it was. I want to give a more thorough explanation of that.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
Right now, I don't believe my mind is ready to explain all of the details. So maybe that's on part 2 whenever we cut to the next part of this whole thing.
you guys were absolutely barely getting any sleep and working really hard on the writing. Were you also inspired by like the Diablo series? I know Left 4 Dead was an inspiration, which I absolutely love that series. What were some inspirations for you writing this, whether it be games, movies, TV shows of this realm?
Well, Diablo, of course, everyone with autism is probably Diablo. So Diablo is obviously up there. For me, a lot of the lore obviously came from Elder Scrolls, as everyone knows by now. That's not really, but that's just because it came from my backstory, which was sort of an artistic retelling. And so therefore it's copyright distinct. But in terms of inspirations, it's really something that has been cooking up in my mind for years and years. And it's an amalgamation of so many things that I cannot name a single inspiration for it. A lot of it actually came from Jet and the others around here. A lot of the aesthetic choices, the Left 4 Dead thing was mostly Jet. And I can't take full credit for a lot of the aesthetics and how things played out. I think that we all blended together a lot of the things we liked and made it one shining gem of the best parts of all of them. I think for me, the main influence that I had was in writing the story and in that sort of thing, and the characters and all that. Obviously, there's a Devil May Cry inspiration between me and the Duke, that whole rivalry relationship. But a lot of it comes from my own works, which I've been crafting, such as my tabletop role-playing games that I've been running for 4 years. And some of those characters, which themselves it's difficult to even trace the original source. I regret that I'm not as able to answer that question, because there's so many sources, there's so many rivers streaming in that it becomes indistinguishable where they all came from.
Yeah, much like the multiverse, you've been to a plethora of universes, realms, dimensions, and realities, so I can only imagine how one person could even fathom that many memories over a course of, hundreds of years, because I know our mortal time, I know it's a little bit of getting used to. I do have a question real quick, if we could just, because we talked about Devil May Cry, be honest with me. Do you like Dante or Virgil more?
Obviously Virgil. Is that even a fucking question? Next question.
Hell yeah, my dude.
Dante's Reddit as fuck. Dante is Jim from The Office level 1 line. Virgil is a cool guy who everyone respects and is jealous of. And he says few words and he just says cool things like, I will kill you. Because he doesn't speak a lot, because he doesn't have a lot of friends or get a lot of social interaction. And you see, the things he does say are normally threats or ominous warnings that could later be reported to the police by people when he posts them on Facebook. And when people who are jealous of him from economics class and home economics class report them to the police because they think that it's directed at someone, that it's legally a threat. But Virgil, he would do that sort of thing because he's a badass. It's not because he has emotional problem. It's actually because he's a badass and not because his mom divorced his dad. Absolutely. That's my answer.
Yes, he's definitely more of the badass, also considering he refuses to use other weaponry than his Yamato blade, unlike Dante using any fucking weapon he can grab.
Yes, Virgil would never use his dad's hunting rifle at school or really anywhere else where his enemies might be. And so the accusation that someone like Virgil, someone reminiscent of Virgil, may one day bring their dad's hunting rifle to a high school just because someone made fun of them when he's faced demons of the underworld for millennia is absurd for a number of reasons. In fact, he would only have used a blade, and the blade it's legally that's an entirely different matter. That is a display piece. It's meant to hang on his wall because he had paid a lot of money to a Chinese person to engrave it with his name. And so when the police come to his bedroom and they find it hang on the wall and they say, this is a weapon, you wrote on Facebook that you intended to use this against Karen at the school. Virgil in that situation, I'm talking about Virgil, right? Virgil from Devil May Cry. I believe in that situation would reply that that's an absolutely scandalous and baseless accusation.
And I think that those beta cucks were jealous of his hair and how it stood in place the entire time.
This is also true. Yeah. Yes, and the Virgil doesn't have lice. Virgil doesn't have problems with his hair.
He's able to slick his hair back with an amazing hairline that I'm jealous of, and I think that's what everybody else hated on.
I think Virgil is really a misunderstood badass loner, actually, who people are afraid of him, and they're afraid of him not because they think that I think you get it.
Yeah, I think it's fucked up that they called him racist just because his style's Dark Slayer. It's like, bro, chill.
Yes, I agree that Virgil gets a lot of hate for things. Virgil shouldn't have been fired from his job at Wendy's. Virgil, I'm getting somewhat angry here And I'd like to move on to a further topic of conversation because I'm thinking of other matters that are not part of this law. I was thinking of my friend Virgil, who I'm friends with. There's a chapter, and I'm not joking, there's a chapter in my backstory titled Virgil and Dante from Devil May Cry Smoke Weed and Discuss Black People. And it's pretty good. I hope that people see it one day. I hope that I can pay an Indian person to read it out loud on Fiverr.com who has no idea what it is and will ask me repeatedly how to pronounce various names in the snippet that I sent to him, and then take too long to deliver the order, even though I paid for the expedited order.
Fucking pieces of shit, motherfuckers.
I would tend to agree.
So we already talked about what you thought about interacting with John. Quite the battles and, even with the swords. But what are your thoughts on the fight between Jimmy and John?
Well, you see, that was, in a lot of ways, I see that as one of the highlights. Yeah. I see that as one of the best, because in the sense of watching a plan come together, it's marvelous to see the mortals battle against each other, pitted against each other, their hearts and minds, mere playthings upon the strings of the chess master. Oh, how my heart sings to watch conflict. As I was saying, I'm not a sadistic or manipulative person, but I think that was one of the highlights because it was very enchanting, the whole drama that unfolded. I truly did not anticipate it becoming as tense or violent as it did.
Yeah.
And in many ways, that was a very uncomfortable day on set, but I believe it made for absolutely enthralling viewing. And I hope other people will agree. Now, it's a combination of coincidence, a happy coincidence, that they happen to be feuding right on the day that I had already planned, not knowing of their feuding, to have them compete for my favor. That was a plot line I was already thinking of, because in my mind, I thought of this, you can see it days earlier. I was talking with John saying, me and you and Jimmy should unite. Mm-hmm. We're the three most powerful personalities of the realm. We should unite, you see, and form a strong team. And it should be Team Xavier, the Autism Alliance, yes. We plan to unite. And then I finally got around to actually doing that storyline, and they're butting heads. And I'm thinking, well, is this going to make this more difficult, or is it going to make it more fun to watch, or is it going to make it both? And it turned out to be both. Yeah. Now, that's also the day, however, that I was quite angry, because production leaked my phone number as a way of pranking me. Now, by that point...
That was really your phone number? I thought that was a production phone.
No, that was my actual phone number, and it makes me very angry. Fuck. And I had to have a very long conversation with some people in the back room after that, which is why you see I disappeared for a while. Immediately after that, I had to leave, and I said, I'll come back later and I'll do the rest of this class, because I had to have some fucking words with people.
Yeah.
Because by that point, in the writer's room, I think they were getting a bit annoyed with me, that I kept demanding that everything be about how I'm a cool guy. And I kept telling them, I paid a lot of fucking money for this. That's literally, I sent you the script. This is what I'm paying for. I paid you a lot of fucking money for this. And you knew about this at a time. You agreed to this at a time. You knew what this was. Yeah. And I'm sorry, but it irks me, you see. A lot of them were annoyed with me at that point. They thought I had a big ego or something. I don't know why. And I think they were irked to that. I don't know. I don't even know. But regardless, they saw it fit to prank me. You see, epic troll style me, or whatever the fuck. And there was a lot of things that day, like sending out the vampires to attack me, because I was in a writers' meeting and we had an argument, right? And then I went and left and said, I'm going to play my Chinese mobile game about anime girl, and because I need to calm down. And they said, well, we need you on set. We need you out there because it's the afternoon. We need you out there, and and things are boring. Go out, and I'm okay, fine, but I'm going to go out there and I'm going to just play this mobile game for a while. And if people want to watch me do that, you can give me a selfie stick and they'll watch my gameplay, and maybe I'll give you content while I chill out, because I need a fucking break from this drama. Yeah. And they said, good, let's do that. And then what do? They send hordes of vampires to attack me. Well, I'm sitting there trying to play my gacha game, and they keep doing it. Mm-hmm. And at this, I'm getting somewhat increasingly angry of this, which I don't know. But the good news, though, is any skilled mastermind is able to turn the plans of his enemy to his own benefit. Right. And so what actually ended up happening there is, after my phone number was leaked that day, some females actually called it. Oh. And I spoke with a few of them. I spoke with Chikandria, I spoke with Ali, I spoke with the one that is later known as Trixie. You see, some of those females, there was one day that I was absent entirely. I believe it was day 12. Mm-hmm. Yes. where that day, the reason I was absent is because the night before I'd stayed up talking to Trixie on Twitter and later Discord until 4 a.m.
Shit.
And we agreed that day we would then meet at IHOP and have a romantic dinner, and when we hit it off. And then she said, well, I would like to be on the show. And I thought that was a good idea. And
so
then,
how did you? Well, let's back up a little bit, Xavier. How did you guys hit it off so much? What did you guys talk about? Did you just immediately hit it off with like anime, video games, or did it just jump into Fishtank because that's how you mutually started talking?
Well, a lot of that. Well, I mean, she'd watched Fishtank a little bit here and there. She was into a lot of the same things I was. She's sort of a very kind and somewhat naive person. You see, she's a lot younger than me, and she still lived with her parents at the time. And I believe she still does, actually. But so there were some things with the generational gap that we didn't connect really.
Yeah.
But a lot of the important things we did, because a lot of people say to me, and she kept saying, "You're mentally like 15 years old." And a lot of people people online would say that to me as an insult, but it actually allowed me to connect across the generational gap. Because I also would get mad when my mom comes into the room when I'm trying to play Overwatch, and it's overtime, and I'm supposed to be on the exactly. And a lot of people would throw their plate of dinner at her.
Mm-hmm. Of course. It's like, bitch, I'm trying to get some Deadeye with McCree. Get the fuck out.
Yes. Well, actually, I'm a Pharah main, but okay, yes.
I play that one too.
Yes, Pharah's wonderful. Yeah. But anyway, yeah. So there are a few things we connected on, and I think she was a really big fan of anime, and she said, "Well, you're basically an anime character in real life. You were like." She kept calling me her husbando, and see, this I really appreciated, and it sort of was a natural fit, really. It just felt right, and it escalated very quickly.
Yeah.
Which a lot of people cast doubt upon, and a lot of people cast doubt upon me for other reasons regarding that relationship. But I think it ended well, as we can all agree.
Yeah, very serendipitous.
Of course, yes. I tried to actually call ahead to the IHOP to reserve us a table. I brought a candle. See, I have this lantern. I have this lantern here that I got off Amazon with the show budget that I didn't pay for. And then I had a candle that I placed. So I actually brought a candle to IHOP. There's a tablecloth that I had brought as well, that's sort of a red velvet-like texture. And it was as romantic as I believe it really possibly could be.
It sounds like it.
So I think it went well. I use a lot of the lines that I've seen people use, protagonists use in dating simulators, and a lot of people said, "Oh, well, that's not realistic."
Shoot one at me. Shoot one at me. What's one of these smooth, velvety lines that you used?
Well, I don't want to give too many weapons to my opponents, you see. Because a lot of these lines, I've used some of them. I only know like 5 of them. And I would say them a lot. And sometimes I'd forget that I'd already said one. In a conversation, I'd say it twice. And it wouldn't work. And a lot of times I've said to different women. And it's hard for me to keep track of which of the 4 or 5 pre-written catchphrases that I've already said to the women to enrapture their heart. And so I don't want to give that away because I don't have one lesson I can use before they catch on that I'm just repeating phrases from different anime series or things Virgil said or things like that in order to get them to fuck me.
Well, that short memory loss is probably a side effect of teleportation.
Oh, well, you could say so. I think it's a side effect also of nicotine addiction. Regardless, let's see here. Yes, of course. It's getting a bit late here, as I'm sure you can see.
Oh, yes. So,
perhaps, why don't we call this one for now? Because I believe soon it's time for me to disappear into the darkness of the night. You see, it's like morning for me. I have to wake up, so to speak, and slay many bandits and ruffians who are trying to overtake this land of Schitty. But I think we should talk again soon and maybe have a little part 2 to this whole ordeal. And I'm sure that we will meet again on the roads here as I travel, as there's nothing I like more than hearing people regard me with respect and ask me questions so I can talk about myself more. And that's, I think, what makes me cut out to be a online persona is a combination of narcissism on being very good at Japanese video games and being able to make fun of people in a 4chan style way. See, these traits that I developed throughout my life that once led me to the downfall of a crippling masturbation addiction and near homelessness and disapproval from my father. It turns out that in the land of Fishtank, those are all the things you need. And it turns out that in this land, I am king. So I do intend to stay here and do more things here. And that indeed includes talking to you. So I'm sure we will meet again.
We'll go fucking ham on this shit, bro.
Now, why don't I, before I leave, I'll take this staff of Xavier with me. Why don't I, before I leave, because frankly, I'm not sure when we'll meet again. And I think it's appropriate that I show you around here. I want to give you some good footage here. And I'm actually in the realm of Schitty now, and it's been transformed quite a bit, so I'm going to give you an inside peek for the sake of your time in order, as a reward for your loyalty and asking some good questions. Well, now good. I believe, let's try to make this cut good, because I'm about to show you something for the first time I believe you'll find quite enrapturing. Yes. Now, I have much to attend to here. Witness this land once glorious, fall and crumble, the ashes of a great realm before you.
Yes.
What was once the shop of the trader, why had many a card duel and purchased many fine wares, reduced to rubble. What used to be this great city now burned to the ground. The ruffians have entered this realm, and they have done much carnage. The blacksmith shop, where I once had many a conversation about how to hone my blade best to seek the blood of my foes, reduced to mere rubble. Few structures still stand in this once hallowed realm. Yes. It's all
Quite a
been burned
glorious
to the
sight,
ground.
but also sad.
Yes. But, as you all know, a phoenix ashes are divine. And what was once burned to embers shall rise.
Oh no, it's lagging.
Again. Yes. I'm not done yet. What is it that you said there?
Oh, it was lagging a little bit when you knelt over the fire, and then it
Motherfucker, that was the
I know
coolest
it lagged a bit, and then it sped up.
A beautiful land reduced to cinders, you see, here. The embers of hope snuffed out to ashes. But as you know, a phoenix's ashes are divine. And what desolation you see here shall once more rise again. If I have anything to say about it, whether it be this word or the next, I will see you all again. I'm not done yet. There we go. Did that one come out better?
That was amazing. It just makes me want to say, Master, don't go! Let's go!
Wonderful, that's perfect. That's precisely the reaction you should be having. Now, I have much to attend to. The night beckons me, and my blade thirsts. I will see you again, Xavier. We'll meet again soon.
Yes, Master. I await your raven's call.
I trust you. I've spoken with them, and besides, I believe there's little that people could say about me that would harm my reputation more so than I've already harmed it myself. So it doesn't really irk me. But I do appreciate it. We'll talk again, and I'll have more words of what can be cut out, as I can be a perfectionist with my appearances, but I think for the most part there will be literal things that I think there's some questions I kind of fucked up and started over in the middle there. Well, I think we can go off where you left off. There might be one or two that I couldn't think of something good enough at the time, but I might be able to with some time. I think that's really
your fucking awesome, dude. Holy shit.
Well, I'm glad.
Did you go to theater class or something?
I'm a theater kid, yes. I've had many. Yes, many.
Damn.
Where? I'm nothing if not a stage crap. I really don't mind whatever it is you prefer. I think either is perfectly viable at this stage.
Cool. That's my main thing, is I want everyone who's on here to just feel comfortable, chill, relax, and just have it feel like it's not some kind of pretentious, stuck-up ass, podcast. It's a good time. Or I try and make it one.
I do believe you succeed. Well, yes, I'm very comfortable. If I'm being a fucking weirdo on the internet, then I'm comfortable. That's my comfort zone. So that's fine. I think
we're all fucking weird, man.
I think